So. Good morning, good morning, good morning. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I will ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. Chair recognizes the very distinguished gentleman from the 28th District for the reading of the journal.
Good morning, Mr. President. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Senator.
You look great. You look great. Mr. President, I thought you might find it interesting that on this day in 1940, the city of Atlanta got 8.3 inches of snow, making it the greatest amount of snowfall in one day in this great state. I see how interested you are in that. But more importantly, we got a great lineup of pages today. Coming out of Lula, Georgia, and the niece of our very own Senator Eccles, we have Hadley Crumley. Out of Blairsville, Georgia, we have Savannah Love. Out of Jasper, Georgia, we have Jenna Duncan. Out of Bremen, west side of the state, we got Alexandra Miller. And out of Roswell, we got Jay Yodov. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to our young pages back there for coming down here and volunteering their day to day. So we greatly appreciate that. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk. First, reading and references of Senate bills. Ms. Secretary.
Senate Bill 361 by Senators Dolezal of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Code
Government Oversight.
Senate Bill 362 by Senators Hodges of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Title 50 of the OCGA annotated relating to state government so as to provide for requirements relative to employee representation.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 363 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 5 of Title 35.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 364 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 5 of Title 48.
Finance.
Senate Bill 365 by Senators Dolezal of the 27th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Title 20 of the OCGA relating to education.
Education and youth.
Senate Bill 366 by Senators Huffstetler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Title 28 of the OCGA relating
Finance.
to Senate Bill 367 by Senators Williams of the 25th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 2 of the Title 21 of the OCGA relating
Ethics.
to primaries. Senate Bill 368 by Senators Williams of the 25th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the OCGA.
Ethics.
Senate Bill 369 by Senators Burns of the 23rd and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Article 2 of Chapter 2 of Title.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 370 by Senators Hodges of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Code Section 16-5-47.
Regulated industries.
Senate Bill 371 by Senator Strickland of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Article 1 of Chapter 9 of Title 34 of the OCGA relating to general provisions.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 372 by Senators Islam Parks of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled An Act to Amend Chapter 8 of Title
Finance.
48. Senate Resolution 454 by Senators Williams of the 25th and others, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia.
Ethics.
Senate Resolution 465 by Senators Dolezal of the 27th and others, a resolution creating the...
Rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Assignments has had under consideration the following appointments to the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Honorable Bob Barr, appointed by the Governor. Mr. Stephen S. Green, appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Honorable Victoria S. Darasaw, appointed by the Supreme Court of Georgia, and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that the appointment be confirmed as submitted. Respectfully submitted, Honorable Burt Jones, Chairman. The confirmation of the appointments to the Judicial Qualifications Commission will be taken up as special order of business on Thursday, January 25th, just before the third reading of bills. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Government Oversight has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 337 do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Harbin of the 16th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 30 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Senate Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 348 do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Resolution 352 do pass. Senate Resolution 443 do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Brass of the 28th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Transportation has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 353 motion do pass. Senate Resolution 158 motion do pass. House Bill 524 motion do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: Senate Bill 359 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, good job. It is now time for the, second readers.
Senate Bill 151 by Senator James of the 35th and others, First Responders Appreciation Day, designate September 11th of each year. Senate Bill 338 by Senator Setzler of the 37th and others, Board of Education of Cobb County Education Districts, change the description. Senate Resolution 122 by Senator Harbison of the 15th and others, the Veteran Anthem, official song of Georgia service members, veterans, and their families, designate. Senate Resolution 344 by Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, Purebred Dog Day, recognize May 1st, 2023. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? I recognize the Senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators: Senator from the 33rd, the 34th, the 35th, 36th, maybe the 37th too, the 38th, the 39th, and the 40th, and the 5th.
Something going on we don't know about?
It's that whole row.
All right. Without objection, the senators from the 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th, 37th, 38th, 39th, and the 5th. Is that correct? And 45th. All right. All right. That'll knock out about everybody right there then. All right. So, any other motions? Secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeeper secure the chambers at this time. I now recognize a good senator from the 6th District to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and introduce us to our pastor of the day.
Good morning, colleagues. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Georgia flag. Pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Good morning, colleagues. It is my honor to introduce to everyone the Reverend Catherine Booth Olson, whose church, Northside Church, is in State Senate District 6. She's been on staff at Northside Church since 2006 and was ordained deacon in the North Georgia Conference in 2010. She's gone to some great institutions across this great state. She earned 2 associate's degrees at Young Harris College before obtaining a BS in education at Valdosta State University and a Master of Divinity at Emory University. She's married to Corden and has 4 young adult and teenage stepchildren. She also has a cat named Atticus, who she found and rescued in the Northside Church building. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Catherine Booth Olson.
It is a joy and privilege to be with you this morning. Thank you for your service and your dedication. I am aware that you have a full day of work, and I have a senior pastor who has a commitment to a strong sense of timeliness, so I know I have 5 minutes. It is true, I grew up in Evans, Georgia, and have covered most of the state, from Young Harris to Valdosta to here in the city of Atlanta. I've lived in Cobb, DeKalb, and Fulton County, and now live in the 48th district. I will keep my remarks brief. I'm going to share a few lessons I learned with a group of high school students as we were stranded in Colorado for 2 additional days last week. We got snowed in. And I must admit, I am not one who does well with snow. I'm a Georgia peach. I'm made for hot Atlanta. I thrive with hot cocoa and warm blankets. I need ear warmers, and I don't know how those who are unhoused do well. I want it warm and not cold. And if it was up to me, when it's under 40, we'd go home. We'd shut down for most of January and February, but that is not my decision. So last Monday, as we went to leave from the YMCA camp with 21 high schoolers, we thought it would take about 2 hours to get to Interstate 70. Unfortunately, it took 7 hours. We had whiteouts, we saw spinning out cars. I made prayers to the Lord God Almighty that I may never be able to cash in on. I asked God to keep these sweet, precious children alive. I worried about our safety. I worried if we would be sleeping in the cold. I thought I might be sharing a van with some very smelly teenage boys. And yet, 7 hours later, we made it to the interstate, only to find out it was closed. And we would not be making it to Denver. And we would not be joining our flight that was leaving. And as a result, we started calling travel agents and parents. I started working with teenagers who were crying because they would not be missing school. And no, that is not why they were crying. They were upset because they would be missing tryouts and friends and boyfriends and girlfriends. And they were stuck with some people they really liked and some they were trying to learn to like. And so 2 more days in these snowy mountains we would stay. And slowly we found a new hotel to stay in. And we were able to order cheap pizza, and they learned that there was a hot tub, and maybe all would be okay. And as we got to the evening, I was able to ask our kids what were the highs and what were the lows, and where did they see God in the midst of a day that had gone very, very wrong. And I, the pastor, stopped and listened and got wisdom from a bunch of high schoolers. And they shared with me where they saw God in the midst of the day. Maybe you too will have days that will go very, very wrong. It is my prayer that this session will be easy and breezy. It is my prayer that you will do good, hard work, that you will make a difference on behalf of your constituents. But maybe sometimes things won't go as you planned either. So let me share with you the wisdom they shared with me. What makes hard days better days? A good night's sleep. Snacks. Bring snacks with you. Friends who can make you laugh. Knowing that there are adults who are working on your behalf. Faith in a creator who is at work in the world at all times and who never leaves you nor forsakes you. Knowing that you can pray at all times and that there are others who are praying for you. That you can turn your eyes to the heavens, just like the psalmist says, and that it is okay to turn off your phones and go and play. Right, friends? You may need that same very advice this session. Maybe you will need a little rest when the session gets long. Maybe you'll just need to head to bed. Maybe you'll need snacks. Maybe you'll need to lean into your friends. Maybe you'll need to ask and seek wise counsel. Maybe you'll need to know that there are other adults who care for you. Maybe you'll need to trust in God when you don't know how God is working in the world. Maybe you'll need to know that there are church members, constituents, and even strangers who are praying for you. Maybe you need to stop and turn off your phone and go outside and get in nature. How will you know that you are okay in the midst of all that is going on around you? Sometimes things go wrong, friends. Sometimes you will do everything right, just like we thought we had, and it still doesn't go as planned. I want you to know that even when you do everything you're supposed to do, that God is still for you, that God is not against you, that you are loved and that there are people praying for you, and that sometimes there is wisdom in the words of high schoolers. Rest, eat your snacks, turn off your phones, and go and pray. And if you give it just enough time, either the session will end or God will show up in unexpected ways. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we give you thanks that you show up when we don't expect it. Sometimes life is a storm, and sometimes life is easy. Oh God, we ask that you would give us eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a heart to receive. And when we forget, surround us with high schoolers or wiser adults to remind us to have eyes to look to you. Help us to trust, to believe, and to know that we are loved and we are never alone. In the name of the one who made the mountains and the snow, in the name of the one who made this very capital, we give you thanks. Amen.
I could have everyone's attention real quick. As we do every day, we always like to recognize our physicians that come down here and give their time to us here at the Capitol. And we have very special guests today, and I would like to call on the senator from the 42nd to introduce our special doctor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it's my distinct honor to welcome to the chamber this morning as our doctor of the day, Dr. Short. He is in family practice with Piedmont Urgent Care. He is a proud graduate of LSU Medical School, and he completed his residency at the University of Florida. He resides in the city of Brookhaven. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Dr. Short for being with us today.
Good morning. I really enjoy coming here and serving you guys because I know how hard you work and I know what you do. And all I ask is that you, in your legislative efforts, that you keep health care in mind, and in particular, urgent care. I've been doing urgent care for a long, long time, and if you want to appreciate how important urgent care is, and just think of what COVID would have been like without urgent care centers. I'm sure many of you have been to an urgent care, and hopefully you've recovered well. But again, I really want to say thank you for what you do. It does not go unnoticed. Thank you again.
We have some special guests here today, and I'd like the secretary to read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 441 by Senators Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending Marcus Woods and for other purposes. Whereas during his distinguished career, Marcus Woods has consistently demonstrated exceptional skill, leadership, and commitment in his role as a football referee, where he has long represented the state of Georgia, and whereas he discovered his love for officiating football in 2007, and whereas his collegiate officiating career has led him to work during significant games such as the ACC Championship, Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl, and the 2022 Army-Navy game, and whereas he has further refereed the College Football Playoff Bowl games and will serve as the main referee for the 2024 College Football National Championship, and whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper that the outstanding accomplishments of the remarkable and distinguished Georgian be appropriately recognized. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Marcus Woods for his many years of efficient, effective, and exemplary service as a football referee, as well as extend best wishes for his continued success. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Now call on the senator from the 18th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning again, friends and colleagues. I'm really honored to commend two distinguished Georgians that are behind me, Mr. Marcus Woods and Jamal Shears, for their work in officiating the 2023 NCAA College Football National Championship. As you heard from the resolution about some of their great work on the field, but I've got with me today Marcus Woods, who's a native of Atlanta. He began his officiating career in 2007. He served as a referee and center judge in the ACC since 2017. Outside of his work in the ACC, Marcus has officiated notable games such as the Army-Navy game in 2022, the Peach Bowl in 2019, and the Fiesta Bowl in 2018. Most recently, Marcus served as the head referee in the College Football Playoff National Championship game, which took place this year in Houston. We've also got Jamal Shears, who has been in the football officiating space his entire adult life. From officiating in high school games to multiple collegiate conferences, including Gulf South, CIP, and the current conference of the ACC. While he works in nearly every position, he specializes as a side judge. He has had the opportunity to operate in some high-stakes games, y'all, including the 2023 ACC Championship, the 2022 CFP National Championship, the Army-Navy, and over 4 NCAA bowl games. I want to thank my dear friend Judge Tripp Self, who many of you know, a federal judge down in Macon that is watching this on the television, who brought this to my attention, these great friends of his and great Georgians, as well as, I understand, a lot of officiating friends and colleagues that these two men behind have that are watching them receive this honor today. They've got their beautiful wives with them. Where are they? There, beautiful, right there, who have come. And so I just want to express my appreciation, and what a treat it is to have these two Georgians in our capital today. Please give them a special welcome. I'm going to ask them to come up, and if they want to say a brief word, we'd love to hear from them.
First, we want to thank Lieutenant Governor Jones and Senator Kennedy for this honor and the opportunity to stand before you guys. And we want to say that we really, truly are honored to represent the state of Georgia and the Atlantic Coast Conference in what we do.
All right, thank you.
Once again, just thank you, Senator Kennedy and Lieutenant Jones, for this great recognition. And it's such an honor to be represented for the state of Georgia. Thank you.
All right, good job, guys. Good job. We've got some very fine guests here with us from Richmond County. Don't have a resolution, so to speak, but they don't need a resolution because these are veterans of our fine state and country, and we always are glad to have them down. And if y'all would give us your attention, I'd like to call on the senator from the 22nd, the minority whip here, to introduce our special guest here.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor to introduce the Greater Augusta veterans who are here today, who represent over 675 years of military service, representing the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Many have served combat tours, including Vietnam, Desert Storm, Somalia, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation Enduring Freedom. We also have a member here from our WAC Corps, who is Velma Lyons, and we have participants who are with me today. We have our former mayor of Augusta, Bob Young, Vietnam veteran, also United States Air Force. Augusta Commissioner, current Augusta Commissioner Alvin Mason, United States Army. American Legion State Commander Melvin Warren, served in Desert Storm, United States Army. American Legion District Commander Thomas Pinckney, and Patriot Guard Ryder State Commander Leon McLam. And they are here today to talk with you, to talk about the things happening in Augusta, also to talk about a veteran cemetery. And please welcome our guests as they come here today, our veterans of the United States military.
Thank you, Senator. It's an honor to represent Augusta and the Augusta region. I want you to know we're great and delighted to have the veterans here today. We have 40 veterans here today, serving all branches of our military, serving you and serving the citizens of Georgia and the citizens of our nation. You'll find on your desk today a little flyer that describes a project that we've been working on for a few years now. 4 years. Bob keeps me straight on this. We have a need for a veteran cemetery in Augusta, Georgia, where there are some challenges because we don't qualify for federal funding, and we're trying to find a way to honor our veterans by allowing them to be interred in their home community. So if you would please, listen to them as they advocate for their needs, and let's see how we can support the veterans of Georgia, but especially the veterans of the CSRA. Grateful for the service. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Don Clark. First of all, I'd like to thank the governor for allowing us the time to speak. Definitely want to thank all of our senators who represent our region. My name is Don Clark. I am a humble representation of the men and women that represent those that proudly serve their country throughout all different types of service. I'm proud to say that we as a community stand tall in supporting our men and women of the armed forces. I would like to submit my thank you to the Senate for approving the initial $1 million when we submitted the application to go forward for the cemetery. But I would also submit a request, a humble request, that the work is not done. We've been carrying this for some time now, and with your support and your collective leadership, we're looking to make this a reality for our area to ensure that we have a very proud, a very sacred place to fulfill the fundamental need of our veterans and their families to lay to rest in their area of home and locate a veteran cemetery. Men and women in the gallery, I thank you all for your collective service. I thank you for your service that you continue to render to our community. Men and women of the Senate chamber, I thank you all for your service that you render to the state, and I hope that we have your full consideration, support, and as we move forward in this process. Thank you.
Yeah, I talked to him on Friday.
Are there any unanimous consents? Chair hearing none. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? The point of personal privilege? Unanimous consent, okay. State.
For unanimous
can't-
consent to excuse the senator from the 26th.
Ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 26th? You scared me back there, Senator. I thought it was something important right here. I mean,
It is to the senator of the 26th.
all right, yeah. Without objection, the senator from 26 is excused. So, does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Recognize the senator from the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to remind everybody that today from 4:30 to 6:30 at the depot, the Georgia Food Industry Association and the Georgia Beverage Association are having their reception. Hope y'all will come. That's Miss Kathy. Our Senator Jack Hill was actually on the board when Miss Kathy started representing the grocery industry in this state. So y'all please come and have fun with us, and appreciate you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Senator from the 43rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. Today is Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Maternal Awareness Day at the Georgia State Capitol, but they will be celebrating at the Presbyterian Church. It is also Doula Day at the Capitol, room 125, where you can meet a doula and learn more about their scope of practice. It is imperative that we, as the state of Georgia, not only address Medicaid expansion, but address maternal mortality in this assembly and in this chamber. Why? Because Georgia has the second highest rate of maternal mortality of 48.4% per 100,000 Georgians. The maternal mortality rate report shows that this is the highest concern, and it is inadequate follow-up of cardiovascular symptoms in pregnant women, and particularly in Black women. Failure to recognize and treat hypertension or hemorrhages soon enough has been an issue. Researchers have reported that in more than 1/3 of cases, that they were unsure of where maternal or paternal care began for mothers, and confirmed that some who died received no prenatal care at all. Black mothers in Georgia are more likely to die from pregnancy as they are in the rest of the United States, and especially in states with rural areas. Again, let's support change in the maternal mortality rate here in Georgia, expand Medicaid, and meet a doula today in room 125. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? You have before you a consent calendar of privilege resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution on the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolution of the consent calendar is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? We just had some special guests come into the chambers today, and senators from the 32nd wanted to recognize them, and I wanted us to recognize them as well. We have the Consul General from the country of Japan, a great friend and of ours here, not only the country but this state, and we are happy to have the Consul General here today, and I recognize the senator from the 32nd to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, if you haven't noticed, is Japan Day at the Capitol. So there are vendors outside, inside, and then we are very happy to have the Consul General from Japan, Mio Maeda, and his wife with us today, and along with Senator from what district? 40. District 40, we're co-chairs, Senate co-chairs of the Japan Caucus. And former Representative Tom Taylor also represents the Japanese group. And I probably don't have to tell you all this, but Japan's had a great big impact on Georgia's economy. We have 885 companies that have offices in Georgia with a complete economic benefit of around $9.75 billion. And I've had an opportunity to visit Japan, but if you haven't, you can get a really good feel for the culture by going to Japan Fest, which is held at the Gwinnett County Guest South Arena. And this year, I believe it's September 14th and 15th. So with that, we did do a resolution that I will present to the Consul General, and I'd love for you all to welcome him to the chamber to give a few remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. To be honest, I didn't expect I have to make a speech, so I didn't prepare anything. But anyway, thank you so much, and I also thank you all of you for your continued support to the Japanese companies and Japanese people here. And I do as she mentioned, this is the 50th anniversary of our the establishment of our office, and we are looking forward to, we are determined to continue our effort to enhance and expand the relations between Japan and Georgia, the state of Georgia, and we are looking forward to continued support from all of you. So thank you very much.
All right, good job. Good job. Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until Wednesday, 10 a.m., January 24th.
The majority leader has moved. Secretary, read the announcements.
The Rules Committee will meet immediately upon adjournment today in room 450. The Children and Families Committee will meet at 1:15 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB today. The Education and Youth Committee will meet at 2:30 p.m. in 450 today. The Regulated Industries and Utilities Committee will meet at 4 o'clock p.m. in 450. And the Ethics Committee will meet at 5 o'clock p.m. in 307 of the CLOB today. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until tomorrow, 10 a.m., January 24th. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Wow. Not a one of y'all said aye. We're adjourned. The ayes have it.